Awesome. So recording has started right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be speaking to you all bright minds today. And I'm happy to welcome you to the Land Pre-MBA Job Opportunities webinar by Titanium Consulting. I believe this should be our second or third webinar for the year. I think it's webinar for the year. And this is the first one focused on career development, which is really very interesting. And I know that's top of mind for almost everybody on the call today. I'm assuming most people here are planning to come to business school this fall, already got admitted, or round 2 and round 3 decisions. I know we could also have a couple of people who are planning to come to school in the fall of 2025, but are just trying to prepare themselves ahead of opportunities, giving themselves the best, I would say, the best information that they need to make the right decisions when the time comes. So a little bit about myself. I would say I don't really know a lot of people on the call. I know a couple of people, but I would say this is one call where I don't know a whole lot of people. So a little bit about myself. My name is Tomilola Abiodun. I also go by Anu for Titanium Consulting. I currently work as a senior technical product manager at Microsoft, developing our data governance product called Microsoft Purview. By July this year, July 22nd, after 5 years at Microsoft, I started my career at Microsoft in 2019 when I graduated from Ohio State University MBA. I started Ohio State in 2017, of course. And prior to that, I used to work at PwC Nigeria, where I got my Nigerian CPA ICANN qualification, and I worked there for about 3 years and 10 months before coming for my MBA. I also attended Covenant University in Nigeria, where I studied accounting. At Microsoft, I have taken 2 main roles. So upon joining Microsoft, I started as a product marketing manager, but it wasn't really product marketing. It was more of go-to-market and consulting and strategy. And then 1.5 years ago, I moved to technical product management because I wanted to develop more skills and actually be in the team that provides and produces or creates the amazing solutions that Microsoft actually sells to its customers. So it's been very interesting for me as I've evolved a whole lot, right? A lot of people find it difficult to believe that I actually used to be a CPA, but yeah, who knows what 2 years or in 3 years, I'm always open to reinventing myself, thinking about things very differently, and just trying to learn and grow. I'm not fixated on it has to be one path. I'm just very open to what are all the paths available to me and how can I exactly explore them. So a little bit about the journey. I will spend, let me say, 5 minutes talking about Titanium Consulting for most never heard about Titanium Consulting. I started Titanium Consulting also almost 5 years ago in 2019 when I graduated. I would say while I was in Nigeria, I have always been the aggressive person career-wise. I did almost all of the assessment for jobs then, and I would pass all the assessment. I would go to interview, I would nail them. It was very, very normal to me. Oh, this was very easy. And even when a lot of people, my peers, found it difficult to land jobs and they would say, oh, they didn't pass this assessment, I always wondered. And it's not even a lot about them not passing. Most of them, it's not just because a lot of them did not even try because people felt like, well, if I apply to this company, they're not going to take me anyways. What do you mean they're not going to take you? Of course, you had all those opportunities ahead of you. But I figured that I had that because of the background that I had. My dad also is a CPA. And he's also a stockbroker, and he used to work at PwC before he even gave birth to me. So, like, just growing up, I saw him and his friends. I was like, oh, okay, I want to be like these people. So I totally get it that a lot of people do not have those things ahead of them and they do not have those kind of privileges. And I totally admit that. And that's why I made it my life mission, even then in Nigeria, to help as many people as possible see the possibilities in growing their career and developing themselves. But coming to the US for my MBA, my first semester, my first year it was tough. It was one of the toughest years of my life so far. And everything that I thought I knew, I figured that I didn't know it, right? Everything that I thought that I had the expertise in, I didn't have the expertise in at all because the mentality of, oh, I'm just going for assessment, I'm just going to be tested, technically did not really work here at all. In the United States for your MBA, I assumed that, oh, I traveled abroad before. This is not a big deal. It's not going to be so hard. But traveling abroad for a holiday and actually changing and uprooting your life, your career from a country to another country is not the same thing. And nobody really talks about like the mental state, mental stress you go through. Nobody talks about all of the changes. So I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome. I struggled telling my stories. I struggled with a whole lot of things. Well, I would say fortunately and unfortunately, I was the only international student in my class seeking an internship, a paid internship that did not get one. I did not get a paid internship. And if life was crumbling, and not because I didn't get interviews. I had interviews with Microsoft, I had interviews with Amgen, I had interviews with T-Mobile, with EY, with Cummins. I had a whole lot of interviews, but I just did not get the offer. And a lot of this was because I could not tell my stories well. I didn't prepare way ahead. Imagine you having an interview and preparing for your interview 2 days before the interview. How exactly are you supposed to pass that interview? But between the summer that I didn't have a paid internship, I was fortunate to an internship in Columbus with a startup company that gave me a whole lot of time and gave me opportunities to actually work with the CEO. And I decided that instead of myself wallowing in self-pity, I was going to take my hands, actually literally my own hands, and change things for myself. So between June and August, I revamped a whole lot of things on my own. I decided to be very intentional with working with my school career services team. I did not get jealous because my friends got amazing things. I'm never a jealous person anyways. So all of those things made me realize what I missed out of. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know the things I was supposed to know. Imagine not having interview stories. Imagine having 5 interview stories and saying you have interview stories and going into interviews and saying the same thing. Imagine them asking you, oh, why American Airlines? And you say, oh, the planes. Trust me, it sounds very silly, but that's something I said before. And it's just not me, a couple of my friends too, because we were not just prepared. But things changed in the first semester of my second year. All of the internship interviews that I got before, I got those interviews again. But this time I prepared like my life depended on it. I prepared so much, dedicated about 3-4 hours every day to preparing. And I was able to get 3 offers in the first semester. And I had 2 other offers that were going to give me in the spring, but they couldn't give me because they didn't give offers way in advance for those companies. And then I decided on Microsoft. That same year, in the February of that year, I applied for the internship position. And in the December of that year, I got a full-time offer. This made me realize that, well, I got a second chance. A lot of people will not get second chances. They will never get second chances. And I had a lot of people in my MBA set of 2019, that had to go back to their home countries, not because they were not smart, not because they were not great, but because they did not leverage the opportunities that they had at the right time. And timing was so important. It's so important for you as a student entering the MBA program, especially if you're an international student. It is really, really important. And I said, I want to change this out for people. I want to make sure that people don't make the same mistakes that I made or that I made. So I started Tatiana when I graduated. I mean, the name is a different ball game. I can tell you that another time, how I came up with the name. And Tatiana Consulting actually does 2 things, right? We do graduate admissions coaching and we do career coaching. Graduate admissions coaching because a whole lot of people don't know the opportunities available to them to get into good graduate schools here with great scholarships. And most importantly, career coaching, because a lot of people do not know the type of opportunities and the kind of how you literally can level up by doing the right things at the right time. I talk to a lot of students and they're telling me, well, it's February, I'm just applying for internships. You can't be applying for internships the year you're supposed to intern. It makes no sense. You're supposed to apply for your internships a year before, right? And a whole lot of these things made me realize, okay, let me come up with a program. Let me help international students coming in, not even international students, also domestic students coming to business school this year, teaching them the things that they need to do to prepare ahead of landing internships in the fall and even in the summer through Pre-MBA Opportunities. So basically, that's why we exist. That's what keeps me up at night. This is my 5 to 9 and my weekend job. I'm always very passionate to talk to students. I'm very passionate to support and help people because I know how hard it is because I have been there. So that's why voting does exist. So this is just our success story. A few of the schools our clients have gotten admissions to, a few of the companies our clients have gotten job offers at. As of now, we have gotten over 170 job offers across different Fortune 500 companies, which is really, really, really amazing. And I would say a lot of it is the work that the student, the candidate, because nobody is just going to land something, give you something to land on your laps. No, you have to work for it. You have to strive for it. You have to be very passionate and aggressive about it. And I'm very, very happy for them. And I'm happy the way the everything is changing. Like, people can see now that the opportunities are available for them and they can grab it. And it's not limited to whoever, right? If you're able to tell your story well, you're able to land those opportunities. So this is just a summary about like our FAQs, our success stories, our clients getting MBA internship interviews before starting school in the fall, the scholarships, and their internship and full-time positions. So now into the presentation itself. Internship recruiting 101, especially pre-MBA recruiting. Now, you need to understand two things. And I always start with those two things. To achieve success, you need to understand the academic requirements of your school, and you need to be aware of imposter syndrome. I know this sounds very basic, and everybody here is very intelligent. You're very smart. I'm sure you're wondering, the MBA cannot be so hard. I mean, I checked the timetable, and we don't have classes on Fridays. We probably are done by 2. The MBA is very, very hard. Like, let me just tell you that for a fact. If nobody has ever told you that before, the MBA is very, very hard. And it's not for people that are not mentally, academically, and quantitative ready. It's not a joke. And you close at 2 p.m., you're not going to go to your house till 11 p.m. most times. 12 midnight, you're in classes, because your professors are going to give you 50-page cases. And that is just one class, one professor. So it's a whole lot that you need to prepare way ahead for. And if you don't already have that as the mindset of you preparing way ahead of your academics, you are going to struggle, because how can you manage that academic requirement and that academic expectation with your career development expectation? It's really, really hard for you to manage both. Right? It's really, really hard for you to manage both. So you need to understand, okay, what are the academic requirements right now while I'm in my home country, or when I've not started my MBA program? What are the things that I can do to prepare myself academic-wise? Maybe you need to start reading Wall Street journals. You need to start getting yourself involved with reading different cases. You can talk to current students, alums, to share, oh, what are the cases that you guys have discussed in class? Just read them. Because a lot of times, if you are an international student and you're not an American and you're coming to business school in the United States or whatever country you're going to business school in, the cases are going to sound a little strange to you because they are not situations and scenarios that you're familiar with. So you need to know that. And understanding your academic requirements and knowing that your academic requirement is actually a priority is very important. And a lot of times people, I know there's this thing that used to go around when I was in business school to say that, well, you can fail out of business school. Yeah, that was what we thought. But for the things I have heard in the last couple of years, you can fail out of business school if you do not get the GPA required of you, right? And if you fail out of business school, if you're an international student, the school is going to cancel your service record. It's just that what it is. I mean, they can allow you transfer and stuff like that. But it is also very important. So I'm not scaring you, but it is an important thing that you should note and you should know. Now, you need to be aware of imposter syndrome. Everybody talks about imposter syndrome. It's something that everybody has, or everybody will have at some point, because even when you have gotten these amazing opportunities, it's very hard for you to actually sometimes believe that you got it. So I got the scholarship for Africa at Ohio State. I got a full ride with tuition and living expenses paid. And getting into the program, I felt like I shouldn't be here. I felt like maybe I should just go back to PwC. I had a great career. I know that I had my career trajectory. I can envision where I would be at PwC, because it was hard, right? And what made it harder for me was I didn't set the right expectations for myself. I didn't prepare ahead of classes. So for my first semester, I had all of these cases and I didn't even know how much the cases were. So I didn't read ahead of class. And once you don't read ahead of class and you get into class and they ask you questions, or they start asking questions, your colleagues or your classmates start answering those questions and you don't know the answers, it just creeps in that you're not smart enough. And it's not because you're not smart enough, it's just because you did not prepare ahead. So preparation helps a whole lot with toning down the imposter syndrome. Because once you are prepared, you are very confident. And what happens with imposter syndrome is that it kills your confidence. And the only best way to kill your confidence is not by not preparing, actually. Once you don't prepare, you're not confident, imposter syndrome comes in. So you need to make sure that you are always prepared academically, everywhere you're going. You read your cases on the weekends, read everything. And one thing that you also need to know is you're in business school, you are supposed to make friends and socialize with people in your class. Trust me, coming from someone like me, I hardly socialized in my first year. And every time I am done with class, I'm always in a hurry to go home. Never be in a hurry to go home. Everything you want to do in class, everything you want to do with your academics, everything you want to do with your career, you need to do it while you are in school. Trust me on that. Just trust me on that. Because once you go home, you're going to sleep. And once you're just home, a lot of times a lot of people are coming alone, right? You're going home to do what? You now start thinking about all of the problems you don't have, right? I can see a lot of names here, and I know a lot of people are from West Africa, and a lot of people here are also from Nigeria. I know the situation right now is really very tough. There's heat wave, there is no light, a whole lot of troubles, even though you came second in AFCON, but good luck, congrats. A whole lot of challenges that a lot of you are facing. And because of that, a lot of your other small things are not priority, because you need to find fault before you even think about somebody that offended you. But when you come here, interrupted power supply, it sounds very basic, but all of the things that you never thought about in this life, people that offended you 3 years ago, you will think about them. And then you start getting depressed and anxious. The best way around that is just to stay in class and do everything you have to do and stay outside so people can see you. So when you get back home, you just go and sleep. That's the best way to beat it. And if you cannot do these two first things, it's going to be very difficult for you to do anything from a career perspective. Now, the third one is defining your job search strategy. It's very important that you have a job search strategy. And Titanial Consulting has been able to come up with four anchors rather for your effective job search. One, you need to have an application strategy. You need to have a resume strategy. You need to have a networking strategy, and you need to have an interviewing strategy. Those four things need to be green before your offer can come in. It's very impossible if you have a bad resume strategy, bad networking strategy, bad interviewing strategy, and you get an offer. If I evaluate myself 17 against these four strategies, I would say that my application strategy was bad, my networking strategy was bad, my resume strategy was half, my interviewing strategy was bad. The only way I got interviews is because resume strategy was just half, orange, not red, but definitely not green. And I needed to address every part of those four strategies. If you leave one out, you are going to struggle at the end of the day. And I talk to people, they tell me that, oh, I know I have gotten several interviews. I haven't gotten those offers. I don't know what's wrong. Oh, I know what's wrong. Because if you tell me you've gotten several interviews and you haven't gotten an offer, and then you're telling me you want to revamp your resume, I'm a little confused. You literally use those resumes to get interviews. So why are you revamping your resume? You are struggling with your interviewing. It's probably your interviewing and your networking strategy, right? So starting with application strategy, your application strategy helps you define the companies you apply to, when you apply to them, those two main things. And the companies you apply to actually focuses on, if you're an international student, the companies that would sponsor you. And when you apply to them, breaks into early recruiting, pre-MBA opportunities recruiting, and just traditional internship recruiting. As an international student, as a Black student, as an Indian student, you all are diverse candidates. And it's best for you to actually apply to the diversity recruiting positions. Now, what I mean by diversity recruiting positions, a lot of times companies have like these pre-MBA opportunities that they release, and I will be giving you a list to the pre-MBA opportunities sheet by the end of this session. And a lot of those pre-MBA opportunities sheets, opportunities actually help students, diverse students, get into a lot of these companies earlier, even before starting in the fall. And we've had a lot of clients that have gotten those opportunities. So as a student, you need to figure out, am I going to be well optimized for pre-MBA opportunities? And these pre-MBA opportunities, a lot of them are already getting posted now. There are some fellowships that are already getting posted now. So this is February. If you haven't revamped your resume, if you haven't defined all of those strategies, how exactly do you go ahead applying for pre-MBA opportunities when you don't even know where you stand? And then when it comes to timing, I would always say timing is one thing that is the most important thing in your application strategy. Timing. When companies release their position in July, I had somebody reach out to me in August telling me that, well, he's considering applying to Microsoft. He reached out to me in November, he's considering applying to Microsoft. This was 2020. I was like, oh, what do you mean you're considering applying to Microsoft? Right? Microsoft published the internship poll in June. It was like, I was talking to a couple of alums and they're trying to get me a referral. First of all, I gave him a referral, but I already told him that I know that they have already interviewed everybody. So, I mean, it's not going to waste my time to give you a referral. I mean, I'm not paying for extra internet giving you the referral, but it's going to be a waste of everybody's time. If a role was published in June and you don't apply for that role within a week of it being posted, just forget about it. It's like you're wasting your time. That's it. And this is especially if you're coming to North America, it's a go home or go big or go home situation. There is no middle ground. So if you don't hit the ground running and get those opportunities when they're available to you as a diverse candidate, then you get nothing. So it's important that your application strategy is well defined from a timing perspective. And the only way you can define it from a timing perspective is to figure out, okay, all of these things that we're supposed to be doing, do I have my resume in place? Am I already talking to the career services team of my team in my school? Or if I'm working with Itinerary Consulting, am I already talking to them? What am I doing? If you wait till August, what is going to happen is your professors are going to come with 50-page cases. And then you're going to be talking with, I have to make a 3.0 GPA. I have to keep up with my scholarship. Maybe internship opportunities are not very important right now. I can do it next year. And the next year comes, you become one of the people that don't get internship positioned, right? And the good thing about internship positions here, a lot of them they have opportunities for you to get a full-time offer. And then full-time positions for university recruiting are not a lot. And then you're graduating, no job. That is actually the scenario and how it plays out for most people. So it is best for you to tap into it now. The other part of the application strategy is the kind of companies you apply to. A lot of times people coming in have this mentality and idea of, I want to do consulting, I want to do finance, I want to do product management, even though you don't have any product management experience. I love the fact that we have goals, we have expectation. Goals are amazing, but you cannot limit yourself to. So do you know what they're doing in the product management role? Do you know what they're doing in business development? So if you sit down and say, oh, I only want to apply to just one role, you are limiting yourself. And for me, I'm sure maybe some of you want to ask, oh, I got into marketing immediately after graduate school or when I was in the MBA program for Microsoft, but I was an accountant. How did I get into marketing? I applied to every available role in Microsoft. All of the 5 university recruiting positions, I applied to them. And I was able to get the Microsoft marketing. Even finance that I felt I was most optimized for, I didn't get finance. And I have a couple of friends that felt they were best for finance and applied only to finance and they didn't get it. If they'd applied to all the other roles, maybe they might have gotten an interview. So you need to remove your mind from, this is what I want to do. You're already in a different country. And a good friend of mine mentioned something and he said, if your work authorization or your student visa is expiring and you needed a job to keep the student visa, if you got an operations job or got another job that you were not passionate about, would you take it the last day before you leave the US? If the answer is yes, then why are you not applying to it early? Like, remove your mind from it has to be one way, because you never know, to be honest. And from a company perspective too, from an application strategy, you need to have a broad and a focused strategy. And we can go deeper. We're going to go deeper into that in the Head Start program, but just an idea. Now, your resume strategy. I don't know the resumes that you use for your MBA applications. For a lot of my clients, my MBA clients, for admissions clients, their resume that they have done is already career optimized for the most part. But I see a lot of incoming MBA students and their resume is not good. And I'm just like, okay, I know you use this to get into business school, but you cannot use this to get a job. Your resume needs to have 4 things. That's your bullet points: what you did, why you did it, how you did it, and the result in quantifiable, measurable terms, percentages, numbers, and US dollars. If you're coming to school in the United States, it must be in your bullet points. Your functional keywords must reflect skills, methodologies, processes, technology skills that you leverage to get the work done. Those things must be there. And then your job titles must reflect the equivalent job title in the United States if you're coming to the United States. If you're going to Canada, if you're going to the United Kingdom, it must reflect that. If it does not reflect that, you're just wasting your time and not the time of the recruiter. Because I give an example, people that work in banks in Nigeria, and I think their levels are like trainee or banking officer. That does not mean anything. There's no such thing. So instead of you putting trainee or banking officer on your title, you need to put that thing that you did. Were you a marketing manager? Were you an account executive? Were you a product manager? You need to put that on your resume, right? Now, your networking strategy. A lot of times people think that networking is just about you talking to people and getting people to refer you. No, networking is not getting people to refer you only. Think about networking as building your network in another country. That's if you're an international student. I know not everybody here is international, but building your network in another country or building your career network differently, you're uprooting yourself, right? Even if you're American and you're doing something totally different, because I had classmates that were nurses, that were doctors, that were music teachers, and they're coming to business school. Their career, I would say career network has to change too, because it's not like they were working in business. It has to change. They have to grow their career network. They have to embrace the career network of other MBAs. So think about it as you are learning from others. You are building your network. And as easy as it is to only prioritize building your network with people that look like you, people that talk like you, if you wanted, I always say this, if you actually only wanted to be with people that look like you should have stayed back in your home country. There are a lot of people that look like you there. Don't come. And that's just the easy, don't come. Because I talk to people and they're like, oh, this Ghanaian didn't respond to me. Is that Ghanaian the only person in the entire United States? What happened to other people that are in those roles that are from other nationalities and that look differently from you? You need to embrace the idea of you are coming into a different system and embrace the idea of talking to other people. If not, then there's no point coming. If all you're going to say is, I connected with 7 Nigerians, I connected with 7 Indians. Why? Why don't you connect with other people? Connect with other people, learn from other people, right? That's the best way to go about it. And of course, from networking, you can get referrals, you can get people to teach you, you can get people to help you, you can get people to support you. In the Head Start program, I will go deeper into networking anyways. But don't just go and just reach out to somebody and say, oh, hi, can you help me review my resume? No, that is not good. But we don't have time to go deep into that. So I'm going to go into the interviewing strategy. For your interviewing strategy, you need to think through having an interview storybook, being able to tell your story in the STAR framework or CAL framework, ensuring that your context shows a problem-solving mindset, ensuring that your actions actually dive deep into the situation, understanding why you did it, how action 1 relates to action 2, ensuring that your result connect to the problem that you were trying to solve in your situation and in your context, ensuring that your learning points connects to the problem that the interviewer has asked you. And all of this they're not easy things to do. So you need to have an interview storybook. And I have an interview storybook even now, 5 years post-grad. So if I get an interview now from another company or even another role within Microsoft, I have my storybook, meaning I have interview questions and I have answered a whole lot of questions. By the time I was graduating or when I was interviewing for my full-time positions, my interview storybook was 28 pages. I had 28 pages of stories I have written, right? And I expect people to even have more. And I always tell this, that for my Microsoft interview, For every question I was asked, I already had an answer to it. I did not wing one thing. So I knew coming out of that interview that I was going to get it. But I talk to a lot of people, I interview people, and I interview you, and I can already see that you're winging everything. It's not a joke. And people say, oh, my interview was so nice. What do you expect her to do? Frown? No, when I'm interviewing, I'm just going to be smiling too, and I'm going to give you 0. That's just it. I'm not going to be harsh. I'm not going to be like this. I'm just going to be smiling. Oh, thank you. That's really nice. And I'll nod and I'll give you 0 because I can't be rude to you. So you need to also know that. So you have to be very self-aware on your own to figure out, okay, how exactly do I do this better? How exactly do I beat the game? How do I beat the system? And you can only do that by defining your job search strategy. Then creating a structure for yourself. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I always try to advise people, you need to create a structure. Structure means always schedule everything. In my first year, I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. And yes, something I didn't mention, all of your schools have student health services, and they offer mental health and therapy. Please go to therapy. I know most people are like, no, they don't have problem. Jesus is going to help them, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then you continue to struggle with it. Go to therapy. A lot of people have a lot of issues that they're dealing with. And only coming to the United States is only going to exacerbate it because you now have more time to think about a whole lot of problems. So go to therapy, fix your issues, because if you don't fix your issues in therapy, you can't do anything. Because even if you work with me, I will give you assignment and you will struggle because you're struggling with mentally with something that is very, very important, right? Now, in my second year, I structured everything from this time I'm going to class. This 1 hour between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., I am doing application focus strategy. Between 10 and 11, I am writing interview stories. Between 12 and 2, I am networking with my focus target companies. I was very detailed with my scheduling. Between 5 and 7, I'm at the gym. Very detailed to the T. And because of that, I had a proper structure. Everything that you need to do every week needs to be in a calendar. It needs to be in a calendar. If you don't put it in a calendar, you struggle because you are going to have a lot of obligations. You're going to have a lot of things running on your mind. So you need to schedule it. And scheduling it is going to make your job search strategy definition easier for you because you're going to be able to easily do it. And when your interviews come, you're going to be able to kill it, hit the ground running. Hopefully join us in this part of the world. So, now, attending diversity events and leveraging pre-MBA opportunities. So there's going to be a link that will be provided here and will also be given to everybody after attending this session to access our pre-MBA opportunities sheet. This sheet is something that will be updated every week when more pre-MBA opportunities come. Most of the pre-MBA opportunities are not open yet. I think they have 2 that are open, and those are going to be events, but most of them are not open yet. Leveraging pre-MBA opportunities is very, very important because think about it. I always say this. If a company has put out pre-MBA opportunities and they have said they want to take diverse candidates, for example, all forms of diversity, which I think most people on this call tick a particular diversity quota, you don't apply to that one. And you're saying, oh, they'll come back in January. Think about it. If a company has already hired all of the diverse candidates in June, do you think that the company exists just to hire diverse candidates? They don't, because diversity also means them hiring other people, right? So if they have categorically said, oh, we're putting all these pre-MBA opportunities for Black, Hispanic, women, and a whole lot of things, and they have put it there as pre-MBA opportunities, international students also fall as some form of diversity. You need to tap into that. Because when they come in January, they're not trying to hire those people because they already hired a lot. That's what is going to happen. So if they've already hired 30% of people as diverse candidates, they want to hire other people too. That's just how it works. Business is a company. That's how it works exactly, right? So you're supposed to think about it and say, how do I leverage these opportunities? How do I tap into them? So that by the time it's the fall and my professors are trying to kill me, I don't even have to worry so much about internship because I only have to worry about reading cases. And then attending diversity events, that also will be covered in the pre-MBA opportunity sheet. There are several diversity events, National Black MBA Conference, Prospanica, Rumba. We are going to have 40 conference. We have different diversity conferences that would be pivotal to you. Now, National Black is the largest MBA conference. And trust me, even if you're not Black, you can go to the conference. Everybody goes to the conference. So you being Black, dark-skinned, makes it even better for you. But even if you're Indian, please go to the conference. My classmates got a lot of interviews at the conference, even being Indian. I got 5 interviews at the conference or 4 interviews at the conference in my second year because I wasn't taking chances. In my first year, my friend and I just went to the conference too. Who knows? God help us. If I could redo that first year again, I would do a whole lot of things differently, but I learned really fast. But a lot of people don't have the opportunity to actually learn that fast, right? And I would say change their story, because the things I have seen now is if you miss out that one opportunity, they're not getting it back. So you need to make sure that that one opportunity that you have, you don't miss out on it. Now, there's something that I have mentioned a lot, and I need to explain it a little bit, is university recruiting. I'm sure a lot of people want, I've said a lot of things about university recruiting. For people from Africa, is something that you can call like graduate trainee program. I think that is the similar term also in the Asian market, a graduate trainee program. So the United States, for most people come to the United States for MBA, and even those going to Canada and the United Kingdom for MBA, the MBA, most companies have standard MBA internship and full-time programs. So some companies call it leadership programs, some companies call it a whole lot of things, but they have those structured programs. Now, university recruiting is really great because university recruiting provides you an opportunity to land up jobs that don't even relate to your experience. This is where companies focus more on your degree and leverageable skills versus the experience that you have. And almost all internships are university recruiting opportunities. So this is why if somebody reaches out to me and say, well, I'm thinking of doing something specific within Microsoft, for university recruiting, you can't get something that specific. So most companies, when they release their university recruiting positions, they can have, in fact, I know Google and Amazon like 2 years ago, I think Amazon changed it this year, but Google and Amazon last year, and Google also this year, they just have MBA internship position. They did not tell you if it is finance, if it is marketing, if it is sales. They didn't tell you. They will not tell you that. When you apply, and if they deem it fit to give you an interview, they give you an interview for a role that they think you're best fit for. And you never know. For my Amazon interview, I got the retail leadership development program. I've never been a vendor before. Like I don't know what that. Like I have no experience with retail. For Microsoft, I got marketing. I have people that have gotten finance, investment banking, and they're medical doctors. That's the beauty of university recruiting. Right. That's why when I said the first time, I don't want you to limit yourself to the opportunities and say, no, I only just want to apply to business marketing or business management within a particular company, because it's university recruiting. These recruiters are looking for a whole lot of things. Right. And something that you also need to know about university recruiting is your job title does not really reflect what you do on the job. My first job title is product marketing manager. It's not the traditional product marketing, it's go-to-market and consulting. And I literally defined my work myself. In other organizations, that title will mean something totally different, right? So if you go in with the mentality of, it has to be product marketing, it has to be product management, it has to be finance, you might miss out on an amazing opportunities. I have people in finance that I think their role is not even core finance, but their title is finance manager. And if you have been so headstrong on, I need to get into finance, when you get into that role, you'll be very upset, right? Because that's not your expectation. But the recruiters can tell based off of your experience, and they can match you to the right roles, right? And I always say it, within product marketing, within product management, there are several mini roles there. University recruiting does not put the mini roles. They don't say product marketing for Xbox. They just say product marketing. And for all of the 50 roles that they want to hire on that are different, you never know. So you need to make sure that you put in your resume, put in your best work, right? And I'm sure you're wondering, oh, how should I optimize my resume better for this? All of that will be discussed in the Head Start program, because the Head Start program is literally a 14-hour program broken over 6 weeks. So it's a whole lot that you're going to have to unravel, and I cannot do it in an hour of teaching, right? So that's just basically what university recruiting is. So a lot of companies actually do come to your school. They come to recruit in your school. A lot of times people feel like it's only when companies come to recruit in your school that's university recruiting. No. University recruiting itself, it's a team in all of those companies. All those companies have university recruiting teams, right? And whether or not they come to your school does not mean the role is open to you or not, right? Even if the company doesn't come to your school, it's very, very open to you. Microsoft doesn't come to my school. I mean, they publish roles on our, I think, I can't remember the name of the portal, but they don't come to my school. By handshake, rather. They don't come to my school, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't get it. I can't get a job there. Of course I can. Right, I've had clients that have gotten jobs in MBBs and their school is not even top 30. They have gotten job in investment banking and their school is not top 40. So don't think that your job, handshake, yes, don't think that your job is limited to the school that you go. That's just one thing I need you to change out of it. Attending top schools is amazing. I'm sure you all are attending some form of top school. But you getting a job here in this economy is not about the school that you go to. If you don't put in the effort that you're supposed to put in, you are not going to get anything. So I know a lot of you have gotten into the best schools and you're like, well, the school said a company is coming in the fall. Oh, the company will have finished hiring all the diversity candidates by the time they come, and they're not coming for you. They're not coming for you. So you need to know ahead of preparing way ahead, because you're just going to be very, very disappointed. You need to be very aggressive. And a lot of the times, I don't blame the schools too. I mean, they sold you a market, you're paying school fees, they're trying to sell something to you. But you yourself, that you are buying something, you know what's at stake for you, right? So you need to make sure that you are starting on time. You're starting early, very, very early. And don't limit yourself to just the opportunity that your school provides to you, right? So talking a little bit about the Head Start program, it's a 6-week intensive. It's very intense. Like, I'm very, very intense. I run a tight ship like a military person. So it's very, very intense. 2.5 hours every week. It just helps incoming MBA candidates get the most out of the career portion of the MBA experience. So I'm teaching you all of the strategies. We go into interview storytelling, writing your interview stories, consulting, interview casing, product management. You even have a case, presentation that you present to me for a case that I wrote. So you have a case competition and you win prizes. It is that intense. You have networking events. It's that intense. So it's an intense bootcamp that if you make the most of it, you would excel, right? So that's just what the Head Start program is. This is the 4th time I will be running the Head Start program. I started running the Head Start program in 2021. 2021 was the first Head Start program I had. And since then, we've been able to have more than 100 offers actually from Head Start alone. And a lot of those were pre-MBAs. They were offers that people got in August, that people got in September before they even got into the MBA program itself. Yes, we also had offers from January, February, but it wasn't because they started in January and February that they got those offers. It was because they started earlier, right? And to be fair, there are also people that I saw and there's like, why didn't you take good use of this opportunity, even with all of the teaching? And you can tell the difference between people that made good use of the opportunities and people that did not. So I would always say make good use of the opportunities that you have right now, because the market is very hot. I'm not even lying. Like, you need to, it's very, very hot. Companies are reducing the number of interns that they are taking, especially MBA interns. So you are fighting for a very, very coveted spot. And because you are doing that, you don't have time. You need to make sure that you are optimized for good success. So these are just a few things that the Head Start program covers: resume cover letter, job set prep, pre-MBA internship opportunities evaluation. I'm coaching you on the application. Behavioral interviews take like 2 whole weeks because that is the core of the issue that a lot of students face. Consulting and technical casing, diversity conference discussion, you have case competitions, you have post-MBA career path evaluation. Is really intense. Right. So if you are interested in the Head Start program, I know there's a cost here, but we have a different pricing because I know that a lot of the Nigerians are like, oh, no way, I'm going to die. This girl wants to kill us. But yeah, there's a different pricing apart from these standard costs that I had here. This is from last year. So based off of this, we'll be evaluating people for even scholarships for the Head Start program. So I would not allow the pricing to scare me if I were you, but I would register and have a conversation with me first and evaluate how you can be well positioned for the Head Start program before you start thinking through, oh, this is expensive or not expensive. Yeah. So please include the link to the Head Start program in the chat box. I think that's going to be included by General Services, and I would like you to be one of the first people to land your internships in 2024, because coming to the MBA program, living your entire life, changing your career, even if you are a US citizen or a permanent resident, is a huge deal. The 2 years that you're going to spend is huge. And I need to make sure that you're making the best of the experience. Do you have any questions? I know somebody has their hands raised. If you have your hands raised, please come off mute and ask your question.
Okay. Hi, I'm Yoldua. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the session. It's been very insightful, and I'm glad that I got the invitation late to join, but I'm glad I was able to be a part of this. So to give context, I have commenced my MBA program. I actually just started this spring at Georgia State, and I can definitely attest to the intensity. Even though I'm coming from a medical background, still it's quite intense. So I have 2 questions. The first is, considering I have a spring start, I just want to know, based off of everything that you've said, like what the difference would be for, maybe there are others in my situation who have just started their program. Like what's like advice, recommendations can you give regarding the internship search, because we're still not going to be able to really do anything till next year anyway, but to give ourselves the best footing. That's the first thing. And then the second question is, the way things are going, it's already a very tough job market, recessions, everything that's going on. And then we know that starting last year, these DEI initiatives are basically being flushed down the toilet, so to speak. So how that reflects in the internship opportunities and landing a role, how does one go about it? Because right now, what I can see looking at many roles in companies, even as big as Deloitte, there's always this emphasis on, oh, they want the candidates to be people who have their work authorization already, don't need sponsorship, all those things. So it makes things a bit tricky. So what advice can you give in that direction? Thank you.
Okay, good. When do you graduate? Do you graduate in the spring of next year, or do you graduate in December of 2025?
December of 2025.
Okay, all right, good. So awesome. So if you graduate in December of 2025, that means you're going to be eligible to have an internship in the summer of 2025. The way the university recruiting internships work is, for you to be eligible for university recruiting internship, you need to have at least 1 semester left after the internship to graduate. So you are basically going to be in the same cohort with people here that are starting the school this spring, this fall rather. So you definitely cannot get an internship position for this summer. You cannot, because from a USCIS perspective, you need to complete a semester in school before you can be eligible for an internship, and you won't have completed that yet. So you are best primed for an internship position for next year, and then you can start work in January of 2026. So what happens is, once you get the internship opportunity and you get an offer, you can resume the next year, or you can resume after this the semester is over. Now, the second question that you asked about, a lot of companies are not sponsoring. Yes, a lot of companies have not even been sponsoring from time immemorial. They haven't. But what I see is people don't have the right strategies, right? I don't know if I am frozen. Can you hear me? Can you all still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, even
All
though
right.
your video.
Okay, all right, okay, awesome. Because I was like, my video is frozen. Yes. So companies have not been sponsoring time immemorial. It's not just about now. So if you have the right strategy and you're able to define, okay, target companies. Companies are not sponsoring, but their companies are sponsor. So your focus should be on the companies that sponsor. And when you are applying for roles, you're not just applying for any role. I see people just come and say, oh, I applied for a finance manager role. No, you are not applying for a finance manager role. You are applying for a finance manager MBA intern. Like, it has to be an MBA internship role for certain companies that sponsor. And I have like a list of companies that do sponsor. And there are a lot of companies that have come up with like Google Chrome plugins or add-ons that you can use to filter for companies that sponsor versus companies that don't. And that's why you need to target yourself for the main companies, the big tech companies, big consulting companies, investment bank, big pharmaceuticals and biotech companies, big retail companies. Is only the big companies that really do take international students if you need sponsorship. That's why I always say America is a go big or go home situation, right? If you must go big, there is no middle point at all. So you have to get the big jobs or you have to go home. So those are the things that you need to target, right? And yes, I think you'll be well positioned for Head Start, because for the internship positions that you're looking for is for next year. It's not for this year.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Victor, you asked the question. Yes, your internship is it's for between your first year and your second year. And that's where university recruiting comes in. You get an offer a year before for university recruiting. You're not getting the offer a month before your internship starts. So if you get the offer this June, we had a client that got an offer with a consulting firm this June, last June. She hasn't even resumed yet. She's going to resume this June. So university recruiting actually gives you the offer a year to 6 months before. That's why it is university recruiting. You get it way ahead of time. So you are not waiting till a month or two before you start, before you get the offer. No, you get it way ahead of time. Got it? Okay. Do we have Victor, did I answer your question? Okay, Samuel, you have your hand raised.
Hi, good evening from Ghana here. So it's a good evening. Thank you for the presentation. It's really informative. Please clarify for me. My question is kind of related to Victor's question. My school actually has a policy that when you are in your first year, you cannot take internship opportunities outside the school. All right. So yes, possibly the school recruitment in the first year, I can take advantage of that and enroll if such opportunity become available. But if I should get an opportunity outside of my school, and maybe like pre-MBA opportunity, and here is also the case where the school is saying that you can't take such opportunity unless you're in your second year, and even that requires an approval from the international scholars department in the school. How do I go by this?
Okay, very good, Samuel. So Samuel, you are mixing up two things. Your school has given you graduate assistantship and on-campus job requirements. That's what they have given you. The pre-MBA opportunities and early internships is for next year. You are not like Microsoft and Amazon are not going to give you an offer for you to resume now. It's all for next year. You are starting in the summer of next year, between May and September. That's when your internship is, depending on your school and the school cycle. So it is next year, basically. So what your school is telling you is in your first semester, they don't want you to do any work. But they're not saying they don't want you to get an internship position. No. You are getting this internship offer to resume the year after. It's different from you getting an on-campus job or getting an internship that starts in. So, like I mentioned, like I was talking to the last person that asked the question, and she can't work, even though she has started right now. She can't do this internship because she will only have 1 semester. She will have only done 1 semester. And the rule is you must have completed 2 semesters before you're eligible for an internship, right? So that internship that you're going to be doing next year, your school is going to give you something like called curriculum practical training. It's called a CPT, which is the work authorization that you're going to need for that internship. Right, that's what you are going to need. So some of this is they're totally 2 different things. So your school has put it there because a lot of students come and say, oh, they can work. No, you cannot, but you can do your internship position properly in the summer. In fact, once you start getting to school, your school will start sending you like different things to get yourself prepared for career opportunities. You're going to be having a lot of sessions and stuff. Yes, so they expect you to prepare way ahead. You're not waiting till next year. If not, you're not going to get anything next year.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity here.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, I wanted to ask, so do we kind of need any document from the school for pre-MBA internship?
Okay, please just hold on that. Titanial Services, please, can you put a link to schedule a one-on-one session with me for everybody? Put the Calendly link, please. So everybody that has any question, you can schedule like a one-on-one session with me after this call, and just schedule it at any time you want, and I can take more questions. So Patrick, the pre-MBA opportunity. So because I've stated it as pre-MBA, most of the pre-MBA opportunities, you are not doing them before you come to the MBA program. You are getting offers before you come to the MBA program. That is it. However, there are some pre-MBA opportunities that you get to work just before you start the MBA program. For those ones, as international students, most of them are not paid. So they are majorly like coaching opportunities. So that's if they say, oh, you can get some job before you start. So it's majorly for Americans. But when they say pre-MBA opportunity, if they say, oh, Barclays pre-MBA opportunity, that just means that you are getting the opportunity before you start the MBA. It's a diversity opportunity, but you don't start till next year. So you are not getting to start the work right now, if that's what. Like, I think that's where the confusion has come in. You're not getting to start the work right now. It's for your internship for next year, but you're getting it way ahead. You're getting it a year before, optimizing yourself for success. Yes. Although I know that there was PwC and there were like 2 or 3 others that had literally is actually pre-MBA. You get to do like 2 weeks, 3 weeks work. That has some different type of authorization for it, and you would see the details in the pre-MBA opportunities link that Titanial Services has actually shared in the chat. But yes, if that is it, we can work around that situation. But for most of it, I'll say for 90% of it, it's for for internships that are coming that you're going to do next year. So do we have any other questions? Kuno, you done. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this session. My question is a little specific about the search strategies you mentioned. Specifically with the resume strategy, I just wanted to know. I believe there are some MBA candidates who are not as experienced as others, and so if your experience is not as rich as others, how do you go about crafting your resume in such a way that I don't know whether I should use the word embellish your image. How do you handle such a situation? Because especially for a lot of people from Africa, you know the job situation here, and then so people are in entry level, careers. Not so many of us are in how do we call it? The mid level to senior level. So how do you are competing against domestic students and students from other countries.
Mm-hmm.
How do you craft your resume in such a way that you sell yourself?
Yeah, I get you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get you. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm cutting short because I know we're already over time. So yes, those are things that we teach in the Head Start program. And if I'm going to answer that question, that's basically 1 hour coaching that I'm going to teach you, right? So just schedule a one-on-one with me and we can take it up from there. And what you think that you say you don't have good experience, who told you domestic students have good experience? Actually, international students in the MBA programs in the United States have more experience than domestic students. So don't discount your experience at all. So let's talk. You might have an amazing experience and you're just discounting yourself. Yeah, Olumide Toluwa, that's the last question we're going to take. If you have any other questions, please, can you send me an email or put it in the chat box? Okay, I think I'll try to take 2 more because I know we're already over time. And so Olumide, so 2 minutes, 1 minute, please.
Thank you so much. And sorry, are there technology companies that do this pre-MBA offers that you talked about?
Yeah, so yeah, a couple of them have done it in the past. So the thing about Pre-MBA opportunities, it comes up differently. And a lot of them have early recruiting opportunities. So they publish their internship roles in June. So they don't state it as Pre-MBA opportunities, but they've already published it in June. And when the people that apply that early, they're targeting it for diversity candidates. So yes, a lot of them do publish their positions early. So at the end of the day, this is not just for the pre-MBA positions, it's for you to be able to optimize yourself to get an internship on time and early, being the first person. So even if the company puts their first position out in September, which maybe they didn't put it in May, that September, are you prepared and optimized well to land the opportunity based off of what the company has published in September? So yeah, Ife Dolapo.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
Hello. So my question is more about the MBA, the admission application, right? I want to know if you are still taking candidates for consultation. And I already did like a one-on-one with someone on your team, and they sent me the pricing and everything like that. I cannot afford it right now. So I also want to know if there's a form of scholarship or anything like that.
Okay, so if Federal, please schedule a one-on-one with me. With this particular link is my own one-on-one, not for my team. So schedule one. And are you resuming? Do you want to resume this 2024 or 2025?
2024. I already started some applications actually and interviews.
Okay, send me an email with where you are at on your journey. Detailed email that on your journey. And
right.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll put my email in the chat too. So Victor, you said we can apply for any roles irrespective of our past experience. How about some of us whose MBA programs are specialized? Oh, let me tell you something about your specialization of your MBA. Your MBA program, your MBA diploma is going to have MBA. It's not going to have MBA product management, MBA brand management. No, it's just going to have Master of Business Administration. For people that are doing dual degrees, they might not have an MBA diploma and have like a Master of Science in Finance diploma differently, but for most people, it's just the MBA program. So it's what is the story that you tell, basically. So it's not about like your specialization. Sindhu?
Hi, Anu.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this. Just a quick question. You spoke about the diversity roles. How do we know what are the diversity roles? And okay, how do we know what are the diversity roles? Because it's not specified on the job board. Being a woman of color, I was looking at diversity role because I had no luck after my MBA because I graduated in December. So could you please direct me on that?
Okay, yes, please schedule a call with me. For a lot of the diversity roles, there are roles that are published during the diversity conferences, like National Black. And for some of them, there are specific pre-MBA opportunities that are listed for women, people of color. They actually listed them there directly, specifically. Now, for those general roles, companies say early recruiting. They just call it early recruiting. They don't really specify it as diversity, but most of the early recruiting get targeted at diversity candidates. But you can schedule a one-on-one with me, and I can, because you already graduated, so we need to figure out that part differently. So your own is going to be a little different from these people and most people here, because you are not targeting university recruiting anymore, and the strategy has to be very different for you.
True. Thank you.
All right. So Abosade, what's the best strategy for students in the first year program? So that's, you're already in your first year, you haven't gotten an internship. Schedule a one-on-one with me, so you can still have you still have some opportunities with university recruiting, although very limited right now, but you still have opportunities and you can still get good interviews. Yeah, you can actually still get good interviews. I had people in my class that got their offers in April, right? Yes, they started late, but they did not. It meant 1 year. 1 year. So for 1 year MBA program is full-time recruiting. There's no internship for you. So instead of, it's still university recruiting, but instead of you focusing on your internship, you are focusing on the full-time. Now your full-time positions are much more limited than internships, because a lot of companies, when they publish the internship positions, and they hire the interns, they want to convert all of the interns. So most of them convert all of the interns and then they don't publish their full-time positions. But it is not impossible. I have people that have had 1 year MBA programs and they've got fantastic jobs, but you are playing like you don't even have any space to play at all for the 1 year MBA program, but it's not impossible. So you are still using the same strategies, but you are targeting it for full-time positions. A lot of the full-time positions are not pre-MBA positions, but they are also early recruiting positions, because you can get some of those full-time positions getting posted from July. So before you start school, you need to position yourself for full-time positions. So yes, it's not impossible. And yes, Grace, the one-on-one is with me, and I can put it in the chat again. So please schedule your one-on-one with me if you're interested in learning more about it. If you want to actually pre-register for the Head Start program, please register for the Head Start program. We'll be emailing you with like updated pricing and very good consideration based off of the market and economic situation. If you want to have a list or a Pre-MBA Opportunities sheet that will constantly be updated, please click this link to access the Pre-MBA Opportunities sheet. I'm going to be here for the next 1 minute, but it was really great talking to you all. I'm always very excited talking to very bright minds, and I'm very happy and I'm excited that you all are here. And just as an add-on, I think I spoke about this last week. If you are thinking about getting a loan from Empower, we're an Empower partner. We're happy to take you through that. And I think that also comes with us helping coach you on your visa application. So if that's also something that you're interested in, please send us an email and I'll get started with you, as that's a complimentary service. Thank you so much. I am very happy to have spoken to you all bright minds today, and hopefully we can connect and hopefully even see in person at some point in the future. Thank you.